Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you are tuning in from. Oh, if you're international and overseas, it might be the middle of the night. So, good evening as well. I'm Suki Jeffries. I'm your host for Defying Expectations Over 60. I'm a women's empowerment coach. I come from a 35 plus year corporate technology career and that I fell into at the age of 22. I retired at 59, and now I'm an international best-selling author, coach, and podcast host. So, welcome. It's nice to meet you if we haven't before. We do have Defying Expectations Over 60 going live every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So I hope you'll join it in with us. Again, if you're watching live, put a hashtag live in the comments. If you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay so we know who's doing what when. I'm very happy to introduce you today to my friend Lana Stevenson, who comes to us from, well, she's in the States now. She lives in San Diego. She was born in South Africa and lived in Toronto, Ontario, in Canada for a number of years. And she used to be a competitive runner, a marathoner, and she's been in the fitness industry for 35 years. But she's switched her practice from performance athletes to disease prevention and health. Because of some situations that happened in her family. And Lana, I'm going to have you introduce yourself a little bit more fully. Welcome to Defying Expectations Over 60.
Thanks, Suki. Hi, everyone. I'm Lana Stevenson, and I'm thrilled to be here today to educate you on and inform you on how our lives don't have to stop at the age of 60. As Suki mentioned, I was a competitive marathoner most of my young life, and also a competitive JKA karate competitor until I started a family. And I've been in the business for 35 years training competitive athletes. 9 years ago, my younger daughter, at the age of 24, was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And at this point, the trajectory of my business started to change. I started to see things differently and wanted to help people move through this process of disease with movement, with lifestyle change, as difficult as it was, just watching what my daughter was going through and learning firsthand. I mean, I had never experienced anything like this. You know, trying to help her through this, trying to help myself through this.
Sure.
And I could, just the running helped me. I mean, there were days I would come home when she was first diagnosed, try and go for a run. Even if I got to the corner and back, it helped. And so I started studying, and I got my my first certification in cancer exercise specialist, and I learned a lot from that, not just about cancer prevention, as well as being able to move throughout treatment, the different stages of cancer, what you can do, what you can't do, and the different types of cancers require different, training, and the different stages. And while I was going through that, my eyes kept looking for different material, and I came across a company called MedFit, who their main function right now is about trying to connect the medical profession with fitness professionals, whereby people suffering from chronic disease can get an exercise prescription.
Oh,
And this is happening. One of my clients has already done this, who's diabetic. They can get a prescription and be able to use their health flex plan, their health savings plan, or even as a tax deduction. So that makes exercise affordable for those who can't afford it with
that's
a medical
awesome.
exercise specialist. So I did a couple of certifications through MedFit. I became a medical exercise specialist, which kind of makes me like a GP. I can work with most chronic diseases.
Mm.
And while I was moving through MedFit, they put out another certification of lifestyle and longevity, which opened a whole other avenue for me, because, yeah, we can all live 100 years, but with what quality of life?
Exactly.
Do you want to exist, or do you want to live your life till the end? And so that's become what my practice is. And in doing that, I've done research on how can I help people with disease want to exercise, see the benefits, feel the results.
Hmm.
And I came across something called blood flow restriction training.
Oh,
And
interesting.
oh, it blew me away. So what it does, it doesn't stop your blood, it slows it down to your working muscles. And
Hmm.
what it does is it tricks your brain into thinking you're doing high intensity exercise, but you're doing low key and you're getting the results as if you're doing high intensity.
Wow.
Now,
So the results like not only like blood pressure reduction and stuff like that, but also increased muscle tone and all of that kind of thing?
unbelievable. The
Holy
strength
cow.
is incredible. The I forget the name. The people who won the Super Bowl this year, they use it as a
Oh,
team. LeBron
okay.
James use it. Elite athletes use it to get that
Yeah.
edge, and then also people with disease can use it, because high intensity interval training, what happens to our human growth hormone, it stops being produced when
Mhm.
age 30. It starts to slow down. But it doesn't go away. We have the ability to create that human growth hormone with high intensity exercise. Most people
Okay.
can't, and older people can't, and people with disease.
Mm.
So this simulates that. So it tricks your brain into thinking you're doing high intensity. The brain
Wow.
sends a message to your pituitary glands to create human growth hormone and nitric oxide, which it's almost like a de-aging effect. So people pay
Wow.
a lot of money for drugs to do this. You can do it yourself, like 10 to 15 to 20 minutes a day with
Holy
these
cow.
restriction bands. So I started working with them 6 months ago.
Mhm.
I am running. I was having a really hard time getting back to the intensity I know I love
Mhm.
without getting injured.
Yes.
Well,
Yes, because you're over 60 now,
I'm
Lana. How old are
almost
you?
almost 64,
Yes. Mhm.
and I'm running like I in my 50s, even younger, because now I can train at that simulated intensity and not get hurt.
Wow.
And
I love
it's
this
healing.
idea.
It's
Yeah.
healing. I
Yeah.
have a diabetic patient uh, who was losing her eyesight.
Oh,
Six
yes.
morbidly obese.
Mhm.
She's with 6 months with the bands. She lost 40 pounds, and she had a recheck with her ophthalmologist. Her eyes had healed.
Oh
The
my
back of her
gosh.
eyes had healed. So there's a lot of scientific studies done. It was available in Japan 40, 50 years ago, but it has just come to the US in the last 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
But a lot of research done on this. And so that has really helped me reach the population group that I am so passionate about helping, and make
Mhm.
it possible for them.
So, does it do anything for I'm thinking about, age-related disease, high blood pressure, balance, um, uh, circulation issues, diabetes, that kind of stuff.
It does. It it creates a very strong healing process. Um, what we need to heal is movement.
Yeah.
And so, contrary to what we were led to believe in the past, and I know this from the beginning when my daughter started chemotherapy 9 years ago, it was, rest,
Yeah.
save your energy for the chemo.
Yeah.
No, that's not the right advice. The advice, you've got to keep on moving, and never mind physically what it does for you, but emotionally and mentally, it's a life changer that you can still feel, like you can live your life. Blood pressure, absolutely helps with blood pressure. The only diseases you really can't use it with are sickle cell anemia,
Mhm.
untreated, like high blood
Mhm.
pressure that
Okay.
you wouldn't, or very deep thrombosis,
Yeah, okay.
untreated. But if it's treated, and the doctor says, gives you a clearance, you can use it. And
Yeah.
then people with lymphedema, you wouldn't use it on that limb. But
Okay.
yeah, so they've had numerous safety checks, and for me, this has changed my life. I mean, it's at 64, I'm restarting. I'm running like I did way back when. My
Wow.
stress level, my
Yeah.
sleep has all changed because of the ability to do this. And, you
Yeah,
know, I,
and I love that. I mean, a lot of people as they age, they don't get the sleep they need because they're not expending energy, so they don't they'll lie down, they'll go to sleep, and then they'll wake up like 4 or 5 hours later because they're not using energy, so their sleep is kind of interrupted. And I love the idea that there's something manageable that they can do as they age that's going to handle a multitude of issues. I mean, I'm interested in it for me. You and I got connected because I'm a cancer survivor and we were in, I think, a networking group or a marketing group or something together. And, I heard this story about your daughter. I'm like, oh my gosh, when I was going through chemo, it was, just rest up. I was working through it. And I was physically active because I owned like an art supply business. However, that wasn't that wasn't the advice I was getting. It was
no.
rest up and conserve your energy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They've done incredible studies. What's her name? Dr. Catherine Schmidt from University of Pennsylvania. She's written a whole book on the research on exercise and cancer.
Oh,
It's
wow.
it's it's mind blowing what they're finding now. I just got back from Toronto where my mom lives, and she's 85. I took her bands, and it's so cute now because she didn't think she could do anything to help herself anymore. And she's enjoying it because she can sit for 5 minutes, do her little elliptical on her cubie with her little bands, do the
Yeah.
arms, and she gets the effect she needs. And it's motivating for her
Yeah.
because it's not daunting. And
Mhm.
it just makes my heart so happy to see her excited about something. My dad passed October last year, and I mean, they were together 69 years. And so
Oh
it's
my
given
gosh.
her like a whole new lease on,
Yeah.
on what's possible.
Well, and putting energy into yourself is going to create more energy too. And I always found when I was younger, my mom told me that I lived a stressful lifestyle, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just living my life, mom. I don't, really subscribe to that. And then when I was really under stress, when I felt it, she's like, just go for a walk, just go out for a walk. And I'm like, I don't have time to go for a walk. And every time I did, it was so good for my head, regardless of what it was doing for my heart and
Absolutely.
my legs and all that kind of stuff. It was just good for sort of clearing my head. And um, I think that as we age, it especially if we don't see a lot of people, like a lot of
Hmm.
older people are lonely.
Yeah.
And so the stuff that goes on in their head can be kind of debilitating. And I would imagine that just getting some exercise, even if it's in the comfort of your own home, would be so good for your mental health.
Yeah. I mean, it's blown me away. When I was back in Toronto, my mom's 85th birthday, it was so heartwarming. There were a group of 13 85 plus women also put together, but they're active.
Yeah,
They meet a few times a week.
regularly.
They
Yeah.
and they'll walk the malls, whatever it is. They play, the card games, or whatever they do. But they get together, and they it blew me away to look at this group of women. that my mom is involved with, and it's so important. And
Mm.
what if you can't do that? She has friends who couldn't come to a party because they just can't even get up and get dressed,
Yes.
and so how depressing,
Mm.
imagine living your life like that.
Well, especially when you have all your faculties and I know at 60, I'm nearly 64 as well. We're the same age.
Yeah.
I know that at my age, uh, well, I've forgotten completely where I was going with that. Oh, yeah, I feel like I'm 35. Like, in my head, I feel like I'm 35. My body, not so much. And so I think, being my dad is 89 and he's got a very active intellectual life,
Hmm.
and but his body is just not cooperating with him,
That's so hard.
and it's so hard
Mhm.
because you feel like you're ready to be up and around, and you still think, yeah. So my dad pulled a muscle. We were in Mexico in November, and he got in the pool and was doing water aerobics with all the 60-year-olds,
Yeah.
and he pulled a muscle and he's still like suffering the effects
Oh,
of it. And he's
yeah.
like, "Grr," because he doesn't want to believe he's 89 because he doesn't feel 89
Right.
in his
But
mind.
he hasn't trained his body to stay with his mind. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, like you, I look at my kids and like 37 and 33. How can I have kids that old? I'm not that old yet. And
Exactly.
even physically, I'm like, come, let's go.
Yep. Yep.
I feel very fortunate that I have had this education and this lifestyle that
Oh, yeah.
affords me this, and way of eating. We haven't even mentioned that it all goes together.
Sure.
Yeah, and environment. I mean, we can do what we can do, but we can't really control that. So we can just control what we have in our homes. But there's
Yeah.
so much that we can do um, naturally
Yeah.
without
That sounds
listening
great.
to big pharma,
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
don't want us to heal. I don't believe they want us to heal.
Well, it feels like sometimes we're just patching, we're
Yeah,
just patching, putting the Band-Aid on it and not really, solving the problem. So,
that's exactly what my daughter says. She goes, Mom, I respond to chemo. This is her sixth round of chemo. She said, so it's going to shrink my tumors, not going to cure them. Like, I'm tired. I don't
mhm,
want to do this anymore.
mhm.
She knows within a year or two, she's back in chemo at best.
Yeah, and the waiting, in the stress of waiting for it to come back
Yeah.
has got to be, really, difficult.
Yeah. It's really, it's such an awful disease that's where my passion started for any disease prevention.
Wellness.
It,
Yeah,
it's,
that's
it's awful.
fantastic. Well, you and I talked right before this about how I've got some neuropathy in my feet as a result of chemo 20 years ago, and I'm gonna try your band therapy, and, you said that it works wonders, and I'm willing to try anything to get a good night's sleep because my feet won't be buzzing and feel like they're freezing even when they're, warm to the touch.
Yeah, no, it's the results people have got from I think I told you it cured a man who'd been suffering from neuropathy. He was in his 80s for 20 years,
Yeah,
two weeks with the bands, 10 minutes a day.
that's crazy.
Apparently his neuropathy was gone. So we can do it.
Yeah, we can
It's
do it.
available, and people just aren't educated. California, I feel we're very fortunate that there
Mm,
is a lot of educations out there. I just took from Toronto, my daughter and I did a road trip to Pittsburgh to an art show. Whoa, I could not believe how many morbidly obese people. My
mm.
heart was breaking because there they are in the diners, and this is normal.
Mhm. It
How,
is normal. Yeah, obesity is
how,
normal.
I was like, how do you feel? Like, carrying that all around with you, and do you know what your insides look like? And they
Mm,
don't feel like they need to change anything because it's normal there.
mhm, mhm.
It really, really made me sad.
Yeah. Well, if you so, I'm gonna put, Lana's contact information into the comment section. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, so I'll put your contact information there. Anybody who is listening or watching this after the fact, um, contact Lana about your health as you age and what you can do, the simple, steps that you can do to keep yourself, feeling and being healthier. And if you are struggling with a chronic disease, she has tools that can help you with that as well. So I'm very, very pleased to have had you on here. We've known each other for a year or so, I think, and we finally got this together. So I'm happy for this time on the live stream today, and also all the other times that we've spent talking to each other. So, Lana Stevenson, thank you so much for being on today.
Thanks, Suki. I really appreciate this. This was wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks. And I will talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody. And like I said, if you're listening to the replay, put hashtag replay. If you're listening to us live, put hashtag live. And we will have another great guest coming to you next Tuesday, April 4th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And yeah, you know how to find me. Thanks, everybody. Bye.